Hi, Josh here. I am a business design facilitator and a keynote speaker. In this video, I want to share with you a step-by-step process. There's 4 steps on how to have a great meeting, like a great briefing meeting with a client that not only meets the objectives and the work that you're meant to be doing together, but helps the client understand why this is important for them as well. So I have made many mistakes in this journey, and thankfully, over time, this process has kind of evolved and massively with the help of a good friend of mine, actually my former boss, Nick, at KPMG. Guy's a legend. And he would always go into meetings with a blank sheet of paper and just say, what's on your mind? And to me, it was like, okay, it's kind of obvious, but it's not, because oftentimes people might not be super close to the actual issues of the business or why they're having that meeting, and it helps them connect to actually why is this important. So they'd say, like, what's on your mind? Well, it'd be really good if what we need to do is this, or we need to have this event around that, or we're looking for your services because, and just get a bunch of things on the paper. Then he would ask this question: are you serious about this? And I remember the first time he asked that, I was like, can you ask that? Like, and he told me, he's like, not only can you ask this, but you should ask this, because by saying, are you serious? What you're doing, and of course you're going to watch your tone. You don't go like, are you serious? Like, you're like, are you serious about this? And by doing that, you're kindly inviting the client or potential client to remind themselves that this is actually important. They're like, yeah, I am serious about this. Like, great. Okay, then we're on the right track here. So that's step 1, kind of getting the notes on the paper. He wouldn't go in with a big format. It's just a blank sheet of paper. What's on your mind? Are we serious about this stuff? Then the second step is we'd start to actually define either the meeting. This works for just meetings in general. It works for workshops, works for keynote talks if you're presenting at an event or even presenting in a boardroom. This is just really, really good to get to the purpose of why people are gathering. So that was step 1. This is step 2. So step 1 was, what's on your mind? Are you serious? Step 2 is the scope. Now, that can mean different things to different people. So for the purposes of this, let me break it down for you. The scope is, you picture if you were going to draw a fence around why you're gathering there today, like why you're having an event, or why they're bringing your services in, or why you're going to speak at their event. And this is 2 things. So it's a high level statement of we are aiming to kick off a sales training and we want higher energy, or we are looking to bring in a consultant to help us with this, right? Whatever it looks like, but just get the scope. Could be 2 or 3 sentences, doesn't have to be paragraphs. And it should be more than a sentence, but just get in like the general view. You don't want high level words like collaboration or innovation, because that's really hard to deliver on, because it means anything and everything, and everything are different things to many people. So what you want to do is just get it clear in the scope of why is it we're meeting today, and then the following step. So the third step is the objectives, right? So these are your dot points, and here is a really, really good tip. When you're listing your objectives as to what you want out of the meeting or the event, head the objectives, like put at the top before you write them down, together we will, right? Because what that does is it turns them into a verb, and it makes it clear that you're going to be working on these things together with them. So together we will, and then you come up with the dot points of what exactly needs to happen in the meeting, what exactly needs to be provided by whatever service you provide. And it could be for any service out there. What exactly needs to be achieved by speaking at their event. Together we will. And the reason, even if it's you or the sole service provider, you are designing this together. So you're inviting them on this. So it is a collaboration. So together we will. And again, please don't put collaboration, inspiration, That's nice, but here's the way to think about your objectives. They are your report card, right? So after the engagement, after the event, after the workshop, you and the client will sit down and go through the objectives that you listed together and see if you check them off. Did we achieve these things? Ideally, you will have done that. And if you have them listed, it gives you a sense of accountability. It makes you feel good for a job well done. And it makes it easy for the client to go, yeah, you know what? She nailed it. She or he got all of these points right. And we would be willing to hire her again. You know, so it's really important, because otherwise, if it's a bit loose, after the money's paid, after the dust is settled on the event, and you go to reach out again for another engagement, and they're like, yeah, you can hear things like, yeah, it was a bit expensive actually. And that's probably because it was hard to tie a dollar value against the agreed value that you would have done in your service. So do yourself a favor, do the client a favor, list those out, the objectives, and that's going to make it really clear for you. I'll put a list of these down in the description below as well. So then the next thing is, the third thing is the fourth thing. This is the last thing. Time flies. The last thing is the givens, right? This is so often overlooked and so incredibly important. So the givens are things that, while they might be important, are not relevant for this particular engagement, right? So these givens are not going to be helpful to achieve the scope or the objectives that you've agreed on. Give you some examples. Givens could be, we need more, we want to have bigger bonuses for our clients, or for our team, or we need paid more, or we need additional resources, or it could go on and on. Now, these are all super relevant things. So but the givens, by listing the givens, it does two things. One is it lets people be heard, right? And in my understanding, I think that's probably one of the most important things that we feel as people, is we want to be seen and we want to be heard. It's validating. You've got a seat at the table. So if someone in the client, and again, it could be for any service, but I'm just using this as an example. But if someone in the client is saying, yeah, but we need more pay, or we need more resources, those are valid. You're not going to look at someone saying they need more help and go, sorry, that's not important. We don't treat people like that. But what you do is say, I hear you, and we'll put it as a given. It's kind of, some people will call it a parking lot, but we'll put it as a given. I think parking lot sounds a bit harsh in my experience, but put it as a given. And that could be something that you and your team, or we in another engagement that's with a different scope, can certainly look at. But for the purposes of this, we want to let you know that you're heard, so that's going to be listed as a given. But in order for us to keep on track with the scope, we're not going to be addressing these givens in this engagement, right? It saves so much energy on both your part and their part, because at any given point, say if it's a meeting or a workshop, people could, and probably will, especially if they're super passionate about something, even if it's listed as a given, they can go, yeah, but this is what I was talking about. That's why we need more resources. Super fair. And you say, because it was a given, we're actually going to pivot around that and see what other ways we can be playful about addressing this. So the 4 steps, again, starting off with what's on your mind and are you serious about these? Yeah. Loose list. And then start to make a bit of a draft list on the scope. So that's the line that you're drawing around the purposes that you're either having this meeting in particular, or you're having this event or this engagement, however that is. It is also very clarifying that people will then know that that scope pertains to this meeting. If you don't define it like that, someone's mind could be thinking, well, this is part of a broader piece of work over the next 2 years. So their mindset is going to be focusing on that. Doing the scope says, we're looking at the next 10 to 12 days or 2 to 4 weeks or however it is. Or it could be the scope of this is discuss the high level strategy for the next 2 years. Could be, but just be clear about that. And then the objectives. Together we will do these things, and then that gives you the report card to be able to go back to after the engagement. And then the givens. In order for us to reach that scope, while these are super important and we hear that, they're not going to be addressed in this engagement because they don't fit the scope. Right? I hope these help. Let me know in the comments below, and if this is interesting, drop a like.